better?
Offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues.
That's mine. Oh, so I'm just here on this one.
That's better.
You can turn it a little bit too.
KLK 102.5 FM. Good morning to you on your Wednesday. It's July 20, 2016. This is Community Conversations. Kate Wonder is in the studio with you. I have my co-host, Mrs. Quabila Harden, and we have a very special guest, which I will let Mrs. Harden introduce to us today.
Good morning, listeners. We have Dr. Marti L. Allen, director of the ASU Museum. Good morning, Dr. Allen.
Good morning.
I really appreciate you for coming in today. I'm really excited about learning about all the exhibits you have at the museum. It's something, I don't want to say new, but we're not going to spoil it. I'm going to let you talk about it a little bit later. But before we get into that, I want you to please give the listeners a short bio about you and your education and things of that nature.
Okay, well, I probably had much more education than people think I need for this kind of thing, but my highest degree is a PhD in classical art and archaeology from the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. I also have a master's in the same, and my favorite degree is my certificate in museum practices, which I also got from University of Michigan.
Okay. So, since you're studying in Michigan, what brought you to Arkansas?
Well, actually, I didn't come directly to Arkansas. I've been around.
Okay.
I worked at a museum in Ann Arbor, Michigan for 15 years, the Kelsey Museum of Archaeology, and of course I got my degree there too. And then in 1991, I moved to Utah and became the assistant director of the Museum of Peoples and Cultures at Brigham Young University.
Okay.
I was there for 15 years, and then I came here to Jonesboro. I figure I can take another 15 years.
All right. We're so grateful to have you here. I can remember visiting the museum when I was in college. I'm not going to tell my age, but it really was exhibit then, and I know over the past years, it's probably really grown and expanded. Okay, so first of all, let's give the people a little bit of history of your ASU Museum. How long has the ASU Museum been open?
It opened originally in 1933. It was an offspring of the History Club at Arkansas State College. And it began in a few wooden cases in the basement of Old Wilson Hall.
Okay.
It has moved around quite a bit, and for a few years it was actually in storage while they were building new digs for the museum.
Okay, that was one of my next questions. Since it has moved and it's now located, where's the museum located?
Located in the library building. It's directly adjacent and tangent to the building. The library building is the one with the big carillon.
Okay.
So if you head for that carillon and the university from the inhabited Arkansas, millions of years ago. But that's not the case because Arkansas was mostly underwater during the dinosaur times. That's right. So we can have turtle bones and we can have fish and shell bones, but we're not going to have any dinosaur bones in Northeast Arkansas. And I should say our museum does focus on Northeast Arkansas, not the whole state. Also in the Walk-Through Time Gallery, we have our most famous exhibit, which is the mastodon.
Mastodon?
Yes, mastodon, sort of like the mammoth, although of course extinct. They look like elephants a lot, but they're a little bit different. We have a fully articulated replica of a skeleton of a mastodon. This is a female mastodon. Her name is Mona. So we named her Mona after Mona Fielder, who was the one who masterminded our acquisition of this really spectacular display. So now it is a replica, but I should tell you that if you go to any museum and you see dinosaur skeleton on exhibit or anything, those are always replicas.
Okay.
Because dinosaur bones are completely stone.
Oh, okay.
You could never, it would be so heavy, and you would never want to, erect the original.
Okay.
And now mastodon bones aren't fossils. And do you know why they're not fossils?
No, ma'am, please.
Because they're not old enough.
Oh.
Dinosaurs were buried millions of years, whereas mastodons still in existence just 10,000 years ago. So our Mona, the mastodon, is only about 12,000 years old. So her actuals, many of them, not all, and they are heavy. They are bones. They're not rocks, so they're not nearly as heavy as you'd find a dinosaur bone.
Well, I'm learning something new myself today. So everyone out there listening, go see Mona at the museum.
Shall I go through these other
Yes,
exhibits?
ma'am, please.
Okay, then our next oldest exhibits are our Native American gallery. This is actually a new exhibit called Portals of the Soul. My exhibition seminar back in 2009, which had 2 Heritage Studies PhD students in it, worked together with me, and we did this exhibition from scratch. So replace exhibits that had been there for 20 or 30 or even 40 years, and that the former exhibits had Native Americans from all over the U.S., such as Plains Indians, the Hopi, and the Navajo, and so forth. But we decided in 2008 to focus just on Northeast Arkansas. We needed a whole thing to just Mississippian period Indians from our area. One thing I really liked about this exhibit is the fact that students curated the exhibit.
That is really wonderful.
I also really like it because it's not just your typical Native American exhibit where you're talking about diets and how to make pot. We really talked about the civilization-like aspects of Native Americans from this area. We talked about the power of art. We talk about the meaning of their effigy jars that they made and their cosmological beliefs. And their engineering skills as when it comes to making pottery and textiles and so forth. So this is a beautiful gallery now. Some of the things that are on exhibit are borrowed by the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville. So it was a great experience for the students, and this is probably my favorite gallery in the whole museum. Our next oldest exhibit is the one on, that is the time period, the next oldest time period that we deal with, is the Arkansas frontier. Now, many people may not think of Arkansas as a frontier, but in fact, it was a frontier before colonies were frontiers. Yes, so a lot of things happening in Arkansas. We are dealing with the period through from about the 6th century through about probably the 17th century through the 19th century in that gallery. And when we have it set up, it's a hands-on exhibit that focuses and targets children. And the guise of a traveler or a trapper usually in groups, and then they go to the various exhibits and try to earn points by slaying a turkey in the beanbag hunt.
Oh, wow.
Then they go to a trading post where they're allotted 40 coins to purchase things that they think they're going to need for their travels. And then they spend a little of fate and find out what has happened to them. Did they get bitten by a rattlesnake?
Oh, wow.
Did they find blueberries? Or these are all examples of things that actually happened to early explorers who came to Arkansas, and they made a chronicle of all these things that happened to them. So anyway, then the students had to decide if they made the right purchases. Did they get the medicine?
Oh, wow.
Or whatever. So that, and I should say that the Arkansas Frontier exhibit is funded by the Institute of Museum and Library Services. We had a grant for that.
That is wonderful. So it's interactive, fun, educational all at the same time.
It filled a gap in there because we had not covered the European exploration period of Arkansas until 2009.
So please go check that out. It's worth it. It's worth it.
Now, our next period is the Living Off the Land period exhibit, which is the settlement and agricultural period here in Arkansas. Now, this exhibit is fabulous because it's got these gigantic farming equipment things like tractors and seeding machines and calf weaners, to wean a calf from its mother, I should say,
Okay.
And other things like that. And in fact, this exhibit is almost like an open storage. These will be on exhibit fairly permanent because we haven't got room to store them. So in this gallery, so we can talk about the farming equipment, also the timber industry that was so important in the early history of Arkansas. And we have a covered wagon. And also we deal with the story of pearling and mussel farming,
Okay.
which is a very interesting and important industry in northeast Arkansas during the early period of our settlement.
I mean, people didn't know that even possible or even existed in Arkansas.
Yeah, I think that's true. You can go to places, well, for example, if you just go to Newport and walk near the main street of your town, you will find shells with perfect holes in them, which is what they make the buttons from.
Okay.
They would take the mussel shells and they would drill holes and they would extract a perfect little disc and they would make buttons out of those. And you can find those old shells with the holes in them all over the place.
That's
So
really
it's really
interesting.
cool.
Okay.
Then we go to the Old Town, Arkansas. Here we go.
Okay.
You can find it on here. Old Town, Arkansas gives visitors the impression that they are visiting a small town between the years of about 1890 through about 1930. This is a neat gallery because it recreates what a doctor's office looked like, what a dentist's office looked like,
Okay.
a place where you could, a fountain or a pharmacy, a barber shop, and a bank, and an old general store, and it's really neat. Now, this is a gallery where you don't really need to read anything or even be told anything. You can go through there and using your own cognitive skills, project your mind into these rooms and imagine what it was like to be living in those times. We do, however, have an online guided tour, an audio tour, where you can, it shows pictures of the galleries and you can hear horses clopping in the background, dogs barking, and a whistle train going, and it sounds very real. So this is one of our most popular galleries because of that kind of experience. It really embraces you and pushes you into the past, and children have an opportunity to role play and imagine what it was like to live back then.
And this is also available in English and Spanish for those of you who want to listen online. For the listeners just tuning in, we're talking with Dr. Marti Allen, Director of the ASU Museum, and we're going through the list of the permanent exhibits. Okay, what's next on the list?
I next usually take people to our military gallery, and this has little vignettes of various wars that our Kansans have involved in, going back to the Civil War and through the war in Vietnam. I think the high points of the military gallery is the fact that it has so many interesting military things, paraphernalia like guns and badges or merit awards, uniforms, compasses, things that were used in the field like canteens, actual things that soldiers used throughout time when serving in the military. It's been a very it really draws men and their sons the most.
Okay.
I suppose that's not surprising. But sometimes they go directly to that gallery, and you can spend a long time in the gallery. There's a lot of information. You can do a self-tour. Now, our curator of education, Jill Carey, has invented a really fun game about Civil War trivia that anyone can play in that gallery, too.
Okay.
So,
we have a few more minutes left in this segment, so if we could go ahead and go through the next ones.
okay. I should also mention that we have an exhibit on the new seismic zone.
Okay.
Many people, I think, are now aware that Jonesboro City is situated right in the vicinity of the heart of the new magnetic earthquake.
Okay.
This happened in 1811 and 1812. They went on for 3 months. There was one big, like 8-point-something earthquake in like I think it was December 1811, and then they continued to have huge aftershocks through January and February.
Okay.
People thought the world was coming to an end.
I can imagine.
Can you imagine how frightening it must have been? A very interesting thing about this type of earthquake is that because in our region were sand blows, and because of the long geological history of Arkansas being underwater and so forth, there's a lot of sand that was under the surface, and then this earthquake happened. It made sand geysers and shot up sand all over the place, and there are even beaches now here in the middle of Arkansas because of the earthquake.
Okay.
Also, at the same time, when these earthquakes were happening, there were huge plots of land that just sunk immediately, like 50 feet. The Mississippi earth went backwards, and lakes disappeared, and new ones formed. So this is really a terrifying concept that this seismic zone is out there and still active. So now imagine there was a lot of destruction and mayhem back in 1811 and 12. If we had an earthquake like that today, it would be really destructive. So.
And one thing I wanted to add about that, I read somewhere that the earthquake was so powerful that it shattered windows in New York City.
They were in the Liberty Building. They made the Liberty Building. So that's our whole point of this exhibit is teach kids what to do in the event of an earthquake, because it will happen again. We just don't know when. But it's drop, cover, and hold on. So you drop to the floor, go on your table, and hold on to something.
I'm getting up under the round table.
Yeah, I've already got my place marked out in this room where I'm going to go.
Okay. Okay, well, I don't want us to run out of time in this segment. We're going to take when we come back from our break. I really want the listeners to know a little more about these exhibits, but I'm really excited to hear about this other exhibit. I don't want to give away the name. I want you to tell more about it.
Okay.
So we're going to get ready to go to break. Thank you for listening to Community Conversations on Kelly K 102.5 FM.
This is our 4 minute scratch here. Webcam is still rolling.
Okay. So, and maybe we can just name, because I definitely want to give you enough time to talk about the Rockabilly. So we can just, the last ones, we can just name them.
Yeah, well, I only left out the Mary Stack Gallery. And I mean, that's really sort of a military. I should have mentioned the animals, the national. They do have the albino animals that everyone loves.
Okay.
So I probably should mention those. I'll just mention them very quickly.
Okay. And then we'll introduce the online exhibits, but we'll go into 11.
I gotta
Portion.
read this year. And
Called
Rose Angela.
Okay, she's an ASU Heritage Studies PhD student, and this exhibit was set up originally with February 2008.
That Rose was a Heritage Studies student, and her dissertation was about this very special kind of cloth from Zanzibar called Kanga cloth.
Okay.
And it's very beautifully colored textile that the women would wear, and they had. Although most of the people there are not literate, these text dresses that they were into would have messages in Arabic saying things, but maybe no one could read them, but they know what they meant. They would say like my husband has been a very bad man, that kind of thing. Maybe it gave them a voice when they weren't allowed to really say their feelings and their opinions, but they could say what they felt in their clothing. So that was a very interesting thing. That's why it's called wearing what cannot be spoken.
Okay.
Women were not allowed to express their opinions these ways, but in the clothing that they wore and they made themselves, they could do that. So.
And this exhibit highlights the struggles of the Swahili women, some of slave descendants, some that were born free in the Swahili culture, I guess you say.
Yes, going back to since the abolition of slaves in East Africa in the 19th century. So, and still to these days, women are, identified with Swahili and wear these Kanga cloths.
I had the opportunity to go through the online exhibit, and it is absolutely wonderful. So I will encourage everyone to go check it out and see why these clothes are important to these women. It has a cultural meaning, a spiritual meaning for them as well. It's linked to also the religion that they practice, the Muslim religion. So please go check that out online. It is where we read a lot of pictures. It's very interesting. Also, the other online exhibit is the Mother Goose Nursery Rhyme exhibit.
Yes, this goes back to an exhibit that we used on display, but we had to dismantle it because the glue and things that were holding the exhibits together were sort of going bad, and things can never be up forever.
Yes,
and so these adorable nursery rhyme dolls and so forth had been up for decades, and we took them down to give them the rest, but since we did so much, we made sure to make an online exhibit of it so people can continue to come and look at it, and also it's featured in our family reading castle.
Okay.
One little excerpt from the Red Riding, the former Red Riding Hood exhibit. Kids can go in there and read with their parents and play up and read the nursery rhymes. So
I had the opportunity to look at that one as well. It was really amazing to see the age, I guess you say, or I don't call them old, but they are. They're old.
Yeah.
But to see them and then the story goes with the little rhyme, it's really, really nice. And I think kids would enjoy that. Okay, so we're going to move on. I would ask you, do you expect any more items to be added to the collection, the current collections? And how do you determine the authenticity of each item? And then are any of the items that you have now, are they replicas or are they original items?
Okay, so several little things here. Yes, in principle,
Okay.
so mainly we think in terms of changing things out when we get grants. Since we actually we don't have money in our budget to do programs or do exhibits, so it always has to come through a grant or a donation or something like that. So now occasionally we, in fact just recently in a class I had some students changed out a few things in one of our existing exhibits, but the exhibit itself didn't change.
Okay.
Now where we have all the change is in our temporary exhibits. And this is something I need to talk about because one of our really most amazing things in ASU Museum are our Arkansas Discovery Network exhibits.
Okay.
The Arkansas Discovery Network is a network of 7 museums and is to develop exhibits that target children and give informal learning. And then we just had a wonderful exhibit called exhibit called Building Buddies.
Building
And that targets children perhaps preschool through through informal learning and hands-on opportunities.
Do you by any chance have a date? This is last.
What I don't know, but it's through about the end of September. Building Buddies will still be up. And then we have another really neat one coming in just about 10 days later called How People Make Things.
Oh.
And so for children, they go in and they start playing around, and you may think, well, they're just whacking on all these fun machines. Kids learn that science, technology, engineering, and math are fun. That opens up whole new horizons to them for their future.
Okay. I would like to encourage all of you parents and educators, please take your children out to the museum. We're speaking with Dr. Marti Allen, Director of the ASU Museum. Thank you so much for joining us on Continued Conversation. We still have quite a bit more to get into. Okay, so she's told you about the exhibits, she's told you about the children's exhibits, and also we just talked about attendance. Attendance, you said, was 75,000?
Yes, the last 2 years, 75,000.
Wow.
Which is phenomenal for us. In the last years, we've gone from about 35,000 to 75,000.
That is wonderful.
Yes, we're attributing this to 2 different things. One thing that I've already talked about, which is our children's exhibits that are so remarkable. Our Tinkerbell studio is one of those. I probably should talk about that if you have time.
Yes, ma'am.
Talk about the Tinkerbell studio. And also other another initiative we haven't talked about yet.
Yes, ma'am.
Whenever I get the go-ahead, I'll talk about that.
Let's just jump right into it because I'm excited to learn a little bit more about this one.
Okay, then I'll talk about our Rockabilly initiative. This is an initiative that I've been working on since about 2012. Rockabilly is an early form of rock and roll music, and it's an upbeat, up-tempo, kind of raw music called rockabilly.
Okay.
And people associate rockabilly, the earliest forms of rockabilly with Elvis Presley.
Okay.
That's All Right Mama, Hound Dog, and all of his, wild and crazy
Yes.
songs. So of course he was such a sensation, and rockabilly became a worldwide sensation. And Northeast Arkansas was extremely important in the origin and dissemination of this unique form of music. We have so many rockabilly artists who were actually born and reared here in Northeast Arkansas.
Okay.
The biggest one I can think of is Sonny Burgess from Newport.
Okay.
He's amazing. He's always been very famous for his rockabilly, and I will say that rockabilly was not originally called rockabilly.
Okay.
That is a name that came afterwards. In fact, it's once music historians stepped into the picture, they defined rockabilly rather definitively,
Okay.
and not everyone agrees on all the specifics. So now when we talk about rockabilly, we're talking about this very particular kind of music that Elvis Presley and Sonny Burgess, Larry Don Gillihan from Bono. There's so many of them. I can't even think of. I could have brought listeners of like 40 of them or something,
Okay.
just from Northeast Arkansas.
That is wonderful. If anyone has any questions or comments, I apologize. The phone lines are open, 880-277-1080. We're talking with Dr. Marti Allen, Director of the Age Museum. She's telling us about all the wonderful exhibits, and we were just talking about the rockabilly. A little bit of information about that. You mentioned something about the 1950s when we were on a break.
Yes. One thing that has really interested me about rockabilly is how it reflects this very important decade in the history of America, which is the 1950s. Now, the 50s, being post-war, we've got the traumas of the Depression, the war are behind us, and you've got a whole generation of kids who want to just get about all that.
Okay.
They want to have fun. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
People have pocket money for almost the first time, even in their lives, for the younger families. And they're out buying luxuries like TVs and radios and
Okay.
clothing and makeup and fast food and cars. I mean, it's all wrapped up. This consumerism was just on the rise during this time.
Okay.
And there is this sort of, we can call it ideal, or it's more like a myth of what life was like back then. If you remember I Love Lucy, and Father Knows Best, and of course later Happy Days and the sort of retro TV series and movies as well. You get this idea that everyone in America during this time was pretty well off, and the women were at home delighting in rearing children, and the men were the breadwinners, and so forth. But pretty much this is the white story of America. This is, there was a whole, slew of people who missed out on this somehow. So it's really not just a picture. This is what interests me.
Okay.
Is that there's this perception among people today that the 1950s were this ideal period when everyone was happy and prosperous and everything was just dandy, but really it wasn't. And that's especially the case in North Arkansas, because the rural population, farming completely changed.
Yes.
You couldn't get a job picking cotton anymore because they were buying tractors. Thousands of people lost their jobs and were displaced. Many black farmers especially just up and left their farms. Just left them. And then moved to take jobs in Detroit in the car factories and to St. Louis and places. Many of those remained at home, and they stayed on the land and continued to try to work in agriculture and menial jobs and just being dirt poor. We're just terribly, it was a miserable life. Another thing that's very interesting is that, during the time period, all these racial problems going on, and still today, of course. But I mean, back then, if you would walk down through a town and there would be these public services that would say colored is over here, whites only, or whatever. Now, if you're in a big city, you're going to see a lot of that. If you're in a small town, you have those kinds of amenities. Let us reminded of it. And in the rural areas in northeast Arkansas, there probably is one store in the town everyone goes to.
Yes, ma'am.
So you don't. There are fewer reminders. So what I'm exploring and what I want this rockabilly, we're working on an exhibition. What I want that to explore. One of the things is how rockabilly reflects the lasting racial tensions in rural areas of northeast Arkansas. Music was common to everybody.
Yes.
And you may hear these things, how this type of music is black, this type of music is white. Now, for a long time, people, scholars have looked at that and said that's really true. But it almost doesn't matter because people think it, so now it is true. Okay, so there is that association now. So, black and white music. In the fields, where you're picking the cotton, you've got blacks and whites, poor blacks and whites picking the cotton together, and they're all listening to the same music. So you've got, at the very least, is crossing racial lines. There's no doubt about it. It's crossing racial lines. Rockabilly is a mixture of various black music styles, as well as white music styles. So you've got blues structure, you've got R&B, especially that tempo, and the sort of the wildness of rockabilly is so wonderful. And then you've got country and swing, which is anyway. So all these combine. You see, there's even aspects of gospel and bluegrass that combine and are reflected in rockabilly. So rockabilly really is this great symbol of the best of the 1950s. That's one reason I really love it. And our Rockabilly initiative has several different aspects. When we first launched our Rockabilly initiative in 2013 with our Rockabilly Boogie Fest concert that we held at the Armory on the A-State campus. And then we had another Rockabilly Boogie Fest in 2014. So with these concerts, we were seeing a lot of public interest in rockabilly. We also conducted surveys, and amazingly, between 65 and 75% of every person that we talked to said that they would definitely or probably go to a rockabilly exhibition at ASU Museum if there was one.
Okay.
They usually 10%. Maybe I'll do that. 5% says, no way, Jose. So this was a huge response for us. And now I've been applying for money for some time now to try to actually fund our exhibitions.
Okay.
It's very expensive. And at last we did get a National Endowment for the Humanities grant and started officially July 1st of this month.
Oh,
so I want to come to talk to you now. And we are working on planning phases of the exhibit. It's a 1-year-long project. And at the end of this project, we hope to have in hand some conceptual drawings and what our themes are going to be definitely all together, so that we can then submit that with an application to get a huge grant to actually fund the building of this exhibition.
So, are you maybe looking for people that may have items, artifacts from the time period to donate, or do you?
Oh, heck yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Yes, we are receptive to rockabilly memorabilia, performance instruments that they were used in performance of rockabilly music.
Okay.
We're interested in original posters advertising any rockabilly concerts. Any photographs of rockabilly performance venues like the old clubs, they're so hard to come by, you know.
Okay.
Original, like the old black and white 1950s pictures of rockabilly performances, costumes that were worn by rockabilly musicians and so
Okay.
forth. Yes, we are interested. If anyone's interested in doing that, they can call the museum at that 870-972-2074 number, or they can email the museum. You go to our webpage and it says contact us, and you email us there. And then it will get to me from there. So we may not take everything. We may take nothing. If anything comes to us, it has to be donated as an unconditional gift, and then it will become part of the museum's assets, and we can use it in rockabilly.
All right. Well, to all the listeners, we're talking with Dr. Marti Allen here on Conversations, the director of the ASU Museum. She has been giving us some wonderful, wonderful information on different exhibits. Okay, when we come back, we're going to get a little more on tours and how you can set that up for your youth groups and churches.
Listen to Community Conversations. It's Kate, LK, and 2.5 FM.
Okay.
Are you feeling all right?
Got like shivers going on.
I'm excited.
I'm trying to push through, but like my insides are like shivering.
Well, we have 11 minutes. Now,
Oh, really?
you look up here.
Fast.
If you look back, look at the screen right here. One in my mouth. See, 11 minutes to 10.
We're back with Money Masters. I'm Alfred Edmond. You cannot improve your finances.
Okay, so we talk about, the college. I say college because like on the ASU webpage it say college this, that, but college departments utilize the museum the most as far as students are given assignments to reports, and then it's over other part. It's
And investing their money.
music comes home, we get all because on Kelly K.
So we really reach across the entire campus, and we could never be just like under one department.
Okay.
So because we serve so many different disciplines.
Okay. I guess maybe you touched on it a little bit. The next part of the question is every student eventually required to visit the museum at some point?
No, there are many faculty assigned their students to come to the museum to do specific assignments. I can't give you the right now.
Okay.
I'm sure our curator of education, Jill Carey, has all that information. I know that it's a big number, and there are many different aspects of coursework that are done in the ASU Museum.
Okay. Well, I can't tell you how much I have truly enjoyed this conversation. Okay, let's talk about, what if with a group, how do they go about scheduling?
It's always best to schedule in advance, so we can have a tour all ready for you. Okay. And have it made for your age group. They call the Michelle Friend just as in you're my friend.
Okay.
Or Jill Carey, Kary, at that same number, 870-972. And we do have Ridges. Down to about Helena.
Okay.
And it's got all this this geological history is really fascinating, but maybe I'll leave that out because it's kind of complex in
Okay.
a few minutes. But it's always been a magnet for people because it would bring you above the swampy land, above the mosquitoes, and Native Americans would bury their dead on Crowley's Ridge. And during those European settlements, people like to live on the ridge, farm in the lower area of the Mississippi Delta Plain.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Marti Allen, the director of the ASU Museum. You have given us a lot of wonderful information. I hope that everyone that's listening has taken something away from this interview. There's so many interviews. There are like 10 permanent exhibits, 2 online exhibits, and then there's also some traveling.
Yeah, 3 year, generally speaking, we have these children's exhibits that come and go.
I know the children will learn. Please get your children together, church groups, civic groups, any group. Please get your children together to go out and see these children's exhibits. If the college students enjoy the building buddies, I'm sure your children will love it just the same.
They will, and our tinkering studio, don't forget that.
Okay, and real quickly, can you please give us the times again of the museum?
Okay, we are open Monday through Fridays from 9 to 5. And on Tuesdays nights we're open till 7, and Saturdays we're open from 10 to 5.
Okay.
Dr. Allen, we want to thank you for stopping by. You're certainly welcome to stop by anytime. Tomorrow, Community Conversations, with Attorney Scott Wilhite will be here to discuss legal matters and take your questions. This is Community Conversations, and you listen to KLEK on 2.5 FM. That's the end of